And we begin in Lebanon, where the health ministry says 182 people have been killed and more than 700 injured in the latest wave of Israeli airstrikes in the south of the country. Israel says it carried out more than 300 strikes on Hezbollah targets aimed at preventing the Iranian-backed militia group from launching a large-scale rocket attack on northern Israel. In response, Hezbollah says it has fired dozens of rockets back across the border. It comes amid speculation Israeli troops could also mount a ground offensive of southern Lebanon to create a buffer zone so that civilians who've been evacuated from the north of Israel can return to their homes. From Jerusalem, here's our correspondent Yolande Nell.
With the new day came a new wave of intense Israeli bombing across southern Lebanon. Israel's military saying it was deepening its attacks against Hezbollah. It's begun warning Lebanese citizens to evacuate areas where it says the armed group is hiding weapons. And the IDF put out this video said to show Hezbollah operatives trying to launch cruise missiles from a civilian house and the Israeli strike that followed.
We ask residents of Lebanese villages to pay attention to the message and warning published by the IDF and heed them. This is an advance warning for your own safety and the safety of your family.
Today, Hezbollah has been hitting back. Israel says it's acting to return tens of thousands of its citizens displaced by nearly a year of fighting to their homes along the Lebanon border. But right now, more are finding themselves under fire as this conflict escalates. And it's not just from Lebanon. An Iran-backed Iraqi militia says it's also been launching drones at Israel. There have long been warnings that the fighting in Gaza could trigger a regional war. However, in the past week, the danger of that has risen dramatically. World leaders are again urging restraint.
We're going to do everything we can to keep a wider war from breaking out. And we're still pushing hard.
But both Israel and Hezbollah now say they've entered a new phase in their battles. And as they harden their rhetoric, they're also stepping up their attacks. Yolande Nell, BBC News, Jerusalem.
And earlier I spoke to Yolande as well as Hugo Bechega, who's in Beirut, for the latest on the strikes.
The IDF chief spokesperson giving his second live briefing in the course of a day. From what we understand, that warning that was earlier given to residents of southern Lebanon that if they lived close to Hezbollah posts, then they should consider leaving their homes. This message that was coming from the Israeli military, that has been extended to others. We know that already Israel has been striking not just in the south in Lebanon, but also in the east, in the Bekaa Valley. It's warning people there now as well. And it's been striking in the very north, close to the Syrian border. We had earlier the Israeli military saying that more than 300 Hezbollah targets had been struck in recent hours. They were saying that this wide-scale attack was being carried out in response to a plan for a large rocket attack by Hezbollah firing rockets into Israel. There have been a number of messages through the day, particularly from the Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, addressing the Israeli public, because of course the Israeli stated goal is to be able to return tens of thousands of Israeli residents living close to the border with Lebanon to their homes after 11 months of fighting now that have gone on. And really what we've seen in the past couple of days is actually Hezbollah has been firing more deeply into Israel, and that has put more people under fire. People have been told in the north of the country now to stay close to bomb shelters. We have had restrictions put in place on public gatherings. Schools have been closed. Hospitals have been moving their patients into underground shelters. And Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, said these are days where the Israeli public will have to show composure.
We've seen that a number of locations have been hit, not only in the south of the country, but as Yolande was saying, also in the Bekaa Valley in the east, which is another Hezbollah stronghold in Lebanon. And for the first time, the north of the country was also hit. And now new warnings from the Israeli military for people to evacuate areas where Hezbollah is active, to leave places where Hezbollah has its positions, has been storing weapons. So again, this marks a significant major escalation in this conflict between Hezbollah and Israel that up until now has been relatively contained to border areas along between Lebanon and Israel. This is the most intense, widespread wave of Israeli airstrikes targeting positions across the country. And obviously the fear here, as you were discussing, is that this could be the beginning of a much wider Israeli offensive against Hezbollah that could include a ground invasion in southern Lebanon to create again this so-called buffer zone to push Hezbollah fighters away from the borders and to allow the return of tens of thousands of Israeli residents who've been displaced because of this conflict. At least that's the stated objective by the Israeli authorities with this campaign. And we're seeing now images of people trying to leave parts of southern Lebanon, especially the city of Tyre, which is one of the largest cities in Lebanon. Traffic jams with people trying to escape. So it is a dramatic day here and a major escalation in this conflict between Hezbollah and Israel.